actually disconnected. Our lights were cut off. Our water was cut off because we have an electric pump in our well. What is up? What is up, budgeting family and friends? My name is Sharia. This is the Sharia Mag channel, where I am documenting our six-figure debt-free journey as an entrepreneurial licensed clinical social worker, along with my husband, who is a maintenance supervisor. I run my very own virtual private practice and pay myself a salary of about $80,000. I also work 2 additional jobs. One is an overnight triage counselor position. One is a PRN crisis counselor position. Together, we started our journey in October of 2023 with $305,884 worth of debt. And we have a goal to have that debt paid off and completely eliminated by December 31st, 2026, to then start to build wealth and become work optional by the age of 50, which is in 8 years for my husband. We are documenting and sharing our journey with you guys in the form of monthly budgets, weekly budgets, debt updates, transfer Tuesdays. I do net worth updates quarterly, and because I'm an entrepreneur, I do kind of try to share the income that I was able to earn or do income reports on this channel as well. So if you are interested in following my journey and gaining some tips and tricks to improve your financial literacy, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you do not miss an upload. And if you know someone else who will be or who could be informed and or inspired by following our journey, be sure to share this content on your platform or with them as well. I know we're running out of time for January, so I really need to get on my Zoom. But it is time for January week 2's budget. I think for January week 3 and 4, I'm just gonna combine the 2. I've been trying to make short videos so people can watch them, because the 30-minute, 15-minute videos are not getting a lot of watch time, and I am steadily losing hours. But that is not what you're here for. You're here to get into this budget, so let's do just that. The template that you see on the screen is my very own budgeting template. It debuted at the end of December or January 2025. The template is for sale, and the link is listed in the description box below. It is currently priced for $14.99. So if you are new here, we budget monthly. We do one monthly budget, and then we break down our budgets from week to week, because my husband is paid on Thursdays and I am paid every single Friday from my private practice. And so we started this budget on Thursday, January the 9th, and it ran to Wednesday, January the 15th. The income was planned for this week at $2,004.75. What we actually earned was $2,331.93. That included $974.39 for my husband's weekly paycheck and $1,107.54 for my weekly paycheck. I also had to do a bank transfer from our savings account into our checking account, and I'll discuss why in a few minutes. And that was in the amount of $250, which brought our total income to $2,331.93 for this week. We transitioned over to savings, and savings for this week was planned at $417.09. And so far, I've been very consistent and diligent in making sure that we meet our savings goals for 2025. So I did share a short not too long ago about what my savings goals were, but I plan to do a full video of the money we are planning to save in 2025. The first category is our house project fund. We did agree on a $3,000 house project fund, and we keep that in a sinking fund just so that as projects come up, like a new ceiling fan or a new light fixture or paint, we have the funds readily available. So we save $68 a week, and $68 went into our sinking fund. I do document our sinking funds and cash envelopes over on TikTok. So if you're not following me over there, what are you doing? Then we had to pay, we are paying or cash flowing my son's barber school. He is actually finished getting all of his hours and he has to take the test, but he had to finish paying off his balance to be able to, get the certification or whatever to pay the test, take the test. That was $1,800 that we owed, and we started 2025 at like $1,100. So we were putting a $165 a week into that. I am glad to announce that, and if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know this. We have fully paid off that. So this $165 that was going into this account for him every week will now be snowballed over into my car payment. We have a savings goal to, I think, save $1,500 for my son for this year for his college fund. He's in the 6th grade, and that computes down or breaks down to $34.09 every week. And so we put that into the savings account for him. For this week, because I set up like a holiday fund years ago when my kids were small, and it was $50. It was $100 a month. And it comes out on the 15th and the 30th. So because the 15th fell in this pay period, we did the regular $50 for this week, but normally it's like $36, I think, $36.39 to have $3,000 by Christmas of this year. I'm still putting my $50 per week or $200 per month in my savings account, in addition to 10% of my overnight triage counselor position that automatically is deposited into my Allied savings account. And then my husband also gets his $200 per month or $50 per week into his savings account. So that did bring our savings for this week to $417.09. We transitioned over to bills, and bills for this week were planned at $499. That included our weekly mortgage payment at $333. I'm almost certain we did pay $333, and I just documented this wrong. We paid $9.99 for Apple storage and then $58 for my husband's wireless plan. But you see over here that we did have to pay $377.45. We were actually disconnected. Our lights were cut off, and because we have a well, our water was cut off because we have an electric pump in our well. So we're not financially irresponsible by no means, although that would be the perception or the perspective in hearing that our lights got cut off. What happened was we have a credit, so we're on budget billing, and there were some months that our bill did not total what the budget amount was, but we still paid it. So on the top of our statement, we have a negative balance, or it says it's a negative sign, and then it says deferred balance. It's a negative sign, and then it was like $669. Well, the year was over, so I assumed that they would just take the balance for December out of that deferred balance. Well, they did not, and they ended up turning us off. So we had to pay $377.45, and $47 or $37 of that was the reconnection fee, because our budget bill is only $330. So that was a lesson learned. And that's why we had to transfer the $250 out of the savings account into our checking account, because this was actually on a Wednesday when I had already went in and zeroed out our balance. Because my husband gets paid on Thursday. So that's why our bills for this week totaled $775.44. We transitioned over to expenses, and expenses for this week were planned at $635, and that included $100 in groceries, but what we actually spent was $232.92. And I really can explain this. So just very briefly, I fasted for the first 7 days for spiritual reasons, because I have some very audacious goals for this year. I am trying to be consistent and go through, have the ambition. I want to keep the ambition to go after the things and do things that are uncomfortable, so that I can, reach my goals and design this life that I really see for myself. So I fasted the first 7 days, and while I was fasting only on water, I still had to prepare, or I still chose to prepare meals for my family. And I think something about the fact that I was not eating made me go out and want to buy all of the stuff to cook all of the food for them. And that's why we ended up going over $232.92 worth of groceries. I know psychologically when I think about it, it may not necessarily make sense. I think it was the lack mentality of like, oh, I'm not eating, so I need to make sure they eat everything. I don't know, but that's what it was. And then gas, we budgeted $130 and we spent $130. Beauty maintenance was $40. It's $40 a week. That is for my lashes. My lash fill every 2 weeks is $80. Toiletries, we had budgeted $0, but we actually spent $67, $62. Household, we had budgeted $50 and we spent $0. Fast food, we had budgeted or planned $50 and we spent $86, $60. Date night, we have an actual date weekend coming up in February, the weekend of February the 7th, and we are putting $75 every single week up until that weekend to pay for our weekend. This particular week, my husband got $50 in spend money and I got $50. We had budgeted $80 for miscellaneous and we only spent $4.15. I think this is the first week ever where we have been under budget in miscellaneous. I put $0 in the budget for tithing and $0 in the budget for car parts, and we came up with car parts at $68.28. And then we have my son's allowance at $10, which brought our expenses for this week to $814.57. We transitioned over to debt and debt payments. These are just the debt minimums that are due. So I share this in every video, but we don't have credit card debt per se. We still use credit cards, but we pay the statement balance at the end of every month to not accrue interest. But we keep the minimum payment in the budget because we snowball that amount towards the debt that we are focusing on. So in this week's budget, we had 4 credit card minimums that we would have normally paid if they had a balance. The first one was my husband's Platinum American Express that has a minimum payment of $40 and he did not have a balance. My Platinum American Express did have a balance, but I think I paid the statement balance in the last pay period, in the last budget. Capital One does not have a balance and it's $25, and then Ulta does not have a balance and the minimum payment is $30. My car has a weekly payment of $184 and what I paid was $282.43. Sam's Club was not in the budget, but we did pay $63.71, and then my Hilton American Express was not in the budget, but we did pay $72.50. Now, I do still cover my daughter that is in college's transactions. We allow her to put her gas, if nothing else, in any type of emergencies on this credit card. She is really good about putting the gas up there, but we are not paying for any other additional frivolous spending. So it is just bare bone necessities is all we are willing to cover. And then our Amazon Chase card had a statement balance of $102.90 and we paid $102.90, which brought our debt payments for this week to $521.54. So we transitioned over to the budgeted versus the actual. We had a rollover for this week of $118.96. The actual rollover, this is not correct. This was the actual rollover. I don't know what the formula is that he put in here that makes it compute to this. I think it's just what is it's what you see from the week before, but again, it's not accurate. The income was planned at $2,004.75. We actually earned $2,331.93. The income saved was $417.09, and we did save $417.09. The income spent was, which is the combination of bills and expenses, was $1,035.99. That's what it was planned to be. The actual was $1,590.01, and the debt paid was planned at $421.90, and the actual was $521.54. It brought us to a negative balance of actual leftover balance of $248.73 with an actual balance of a negative $448.17. That's not accurate. We haven't been negative in our account in... Well, you know what? This might have been the week that we were negative because we had to do the bank transfer. So maybe so. We didn't accrue a negative overdraft fee, so that's good. Then we go over to, first we will reflect on the categories that we were over in. We were over in groceries, which I've already explained. We were over in toiletries, and that's just because we didn't budget because I did not plan appropriately. Always over in fast food, and then over in car parts. So we go over to the review, and we're going to change this from the 9th to the 15th. And when we look at the overview, 16.5% of our income went towards savings, which is good to see. That's a big improvement if you've been following me for a while. 32.2% of our income went towards expenses. 20.6% of our income went towards debt, and 30.7% of our income went towards bills for this pay period. I'm really excited to see the savings amount and the debt amount. I'd like to see it actually at like 30 to 50%. 50% is ideal. 50% of our income. And then I love to see savings at least 10% of our income. So really excited about that and the projection of our 2025 savings. So again, groceries, you'll see $20.52, $6.49, $5.39. From Aldi. I was tearing Aldi up. Like, I literally, because I was not eating, would walk through the grocery store and torture myself. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand the logic behind it. But when I watched other people's fasting videos, they did mention that. They would watch cooking shows. I don't know what it was. And then fast food. My husband bought food for my boys and his friends one night. Then they bought food from Chick-fil-A. And then because I had broken my fast, we went and ate at Cava. And I think that's it. I don't see any more groceries. Another $180 towards groceries. Yeah, that's it. So that is it for January week two's budget. Definitely looking back and reflecting. I like to track my expenses to see where my spending habits are. I don't know if it's because it's 2025 and I'm very motivated because we're in a new year to meet my financial goals, or if it's just that I've learned lessons that have stuck throughout 2024 and doing, but I think I've gotten a lot more intentional about my spending. I've gotten a lot more. I think the other thing is, like, I have a lot of stuff. And ever since I read this article about a woman's anxiety is heavily related to the amount of things she owns, I've been, and how much that resonates with me, I have been very intentional about consuming new things, bringing new things in the house, and getting rid of old things. So I think that has helped me to buy with intentions and spend my money intentionally, which has cut down on a lot of impulsive spending, especially. And then I think the other part of it is how determined we are to, at least I am, to buy back my time. I always feel like I'm rushing. So, and I think it's because, I'm working all these jobs. I'm trying to build this business and do that and build this social media account. And it's just like, it's always something to do. And I just want to buy back my time and not have to do anything if I don't want to. So I think that has been helpful in, not really doing a whole lot of impulse buying. And that has really been helpful in my financial journey. So that is my biggest takeaway from 2024. And, just from reflecting on the budgets and the spending habits from the week before. Lastly, if you are interested in purchasing my budgeting template, this budget template is for sale. It's linked in the description box below in my Stand store. It is $14.99. And it does come with all of the tabs. If you want to get a better look into it, you absolutely can go back to the 2025 budget. And that is me walking you completely through the budget template. If you are new to budgeting, or you know someone who is new to budgeting and they're very overwhelmed, I also have a free budgeting guide that is also linked in the description box below, and it is in my Stand store. And that may be very helpful to give you a sense of where to start. The biggest thing is starting. You will start and you will fail. You will start and you will switch it up. You'll start and you'll go from maybe doing zero-based budget to 50-20-30 budgeting, or 70-20-10. I don't know what the percentages are. And you really have to, find what sticks with you. This sticks with me, but it may not stick with you. And if that's the case, you don't even have to have a template. You really could just have pen and paper. I started out budgeting in my planner. So, and then lastly, if you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Like I discussed at the earlier point of the video, I am losing hours. Like, my numbers are literally going backwards. And that's part of why I lost a lot of motivation and just didn't really push to do Vlogmas. That was the original motivation behind doing Vlogmas. But every time I logged in, I was 20 plus views or view hours shorter. And it was just like, what is the point? I'll just start fresh in 2025. So I say all that to say, if you know anyone who could also be inspired by following my journey, please make sure to share this video, give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will continue to push it out into the algorithm. If you are not already following me on all my socials, they are linked in the description box below. You do not want to miss daily updates of my life, although I have been a lot more consistent in posting my TikToks to my YouTube shorts to get more vision, more eyes on my content. Lastly, if you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you over here in this community where we discuss all things personal finance and budgeting, but then I sprinkle in a whole bunch of other stuff. And then, well, I said that was lastly. So that is it. Thank you so very much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.